Welcome to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County, and this show is about Plymouth County real estate. The headline for the month of our report was, Spring Market Begins with Mixed Messages and Staff Reductions. Welcome to the April report on March activity at the Registry of Deeds. We are the recording agency for Plymouth County. Every deed, mortgage, anything related to real estate gets recorded at our office. Our main office is in Plymouth on Armory Street. We have a satellite office in Brockton and a satellite office in Rockland. I have a great guest coming up on the show, Rick Vayo of MEGRYCO Incorporated. We'll talk about some very interesting properties that they're working on. So I'd like to go right to our numbers. The first numbers you're going to see of deeds for the month of March. Deeds are sales of property. There were 534 deeds, you can see in the bar chart, recorded in March compared to 441 in February. 2% more than the 524 deeds last March of 2014. Year to date, we're down 2%. Last year, we saw a 2% increase over the course of the year. We expect to see that coming around as we get into a better spring market. It was a horrible winter for real estate. As everyone knows, it was horrible to be in Massachusetts, as we all know. Mortgages had a big increase last month. We recorded 1,943 mortgages, as you'll see in the bar chart. More than the 1,354 in February, up 70% over March 2014. And with 3 months of data in for mortgages, we've seen a 49% increase over last year. So a lot of people had stopped refinancing when rates went up. Basically, rates are very low. They're historically low. So many people are taking advantage of the ability to get a lower payment or to take some money out from a refinance to pay for college or other major purchases. It's a great time to refinance. Don't miss the market or you'll regret it. Foreclosure issues are very concerning to us. We always have tracked them since the difficulties that the real estate market faced in 2008. There were 39 foreclosure deeds, which is when a property is taken back from a lender in March, more than the 34 in February. With 3 months data in, we're up 4% over last year. The next bar chart, you're going to see foreclosure notices. A foreclosure notice is a document that we see, which is a first step in the foreclosure process. There were 57 foreclosure notices recorded in March, down from 87 in February, and down 31% from last March. We're up 36% over last year. Many lenders are deciding to move forward on foreclosing on properties that have been kind of in limbo for a while. There were many changes in legislation and many regulations that came in place. And now, because the properties have been lingering so long, many mortgage lenders, particularly national lenders, are moving forward to take back properties when people haven't paid, in some cases, for 3 years. The next image you're going to see is an image of foreclosures and orders of notice by community. Plymouth County has 27 communities. So from Abington to Whitman alphabetically, you'll see foreclosure deeds and orders of notice for those communities. Brockton, Plymouth, and Wareham have historically been the highest number of foreclosure notices and deeds, and I will say that that has occurred again. We have a training room open at the registry on a monthly basis, Thursday, May 7th at 9 o'clock. If you want to register and learn the fine details, how to search online for records, call our office, 508-830-9290. We're holding office hours in Carver this month. We had office hours in Mattapoisett last month. A big story for us at the Registry of Deeds was that due to a county budget shortfall, we laid off 15 individuals. It's going to make a very difficult time for us as we get into busier times. So in the next segment, you'll meet Rick Vayo of MEGRYCO, who's involved with real estate projects in Plymouth County. Thank you.
When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. Protect the ones you love. Spot a stroke fast.
Welcome back to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County. In this segment of the show, we always try to do something educational in nature. In the past, we've had commercial brokers, we've had appraisers, we've had assessors, we've had a whole range of people that are involved in the real estate business. And I have a great guest on the show. I have Rick Vayo. Rick, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me.
Rick of MEGRYCO Incorporated.
Correct.
And I know that you have been involved and are involved in some pretty interesting developments around Plymouth County.
We are. We have a number of them going right at the moment, right in downtown Plymouth. I think you'd be familiar with the former Armory building in downtown Plymouth, which was an eyesore for many, many years. Started out as a National Guard Armory and then transformed into the juvenile court and sort of a civic hall for basketball, that type of thing. But all throughout those years, really declining and just becoming a major eyesore. We acquired that about 2 years ago, I guess it is now, and went through a complete renovation of the building. It's now completed, 20 condominiums in there, just about sold out. I think there's a couple of units left, but a great, I guess, boom for downtown. And one of the big things we really liked about this project, and then some of the other projects that we're working on in downtown, is that it's part of a resurgence of residential living in the downtown area, like it used to be many, many years ago and had went away for so many years.
Yeah, I think I remember being in there when I practiced law. It was a juvenile court at one point.
Yeah.
Sure. But first, if you could, can you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself, how you get into the business, a little bit about your company?
Sure. MEGRYCO is a real estate development company. We are a developer, builder, and a sales arm. We handle it all in-house. MEGRYCO started as a real estate holding company. I had been in educational publishing for about 25 years, and any of the real estate connected with that or any investments I had made, I always ran through MEGRYCO as just a holding company. I had since, after 25 years of running that operation, had sold that educational publishing firm and then started doing development on a full-time basis.
So that's a little bit of a transition.
It was a drastic transition. I always loved real estate. I loved the idea of repurposing a building or finding a hidden gem and bringing it back to life in a community, helping a community, surge from that redevelopment. So yeah, it was very rewarding to make that switch. I enjoyed my years in publishing, but was happy to make the switch as well.
So MEGRYCO was around for a while before you started really actively working on these
Correct.
properties.
MEGRYCO has been in business since about 1992.
Okay.
And again, as a holding company owning commercial residential real estate for many, many years. It was maybe in 2010 that we really started aggressively, pursuing redevelopment projects.
Yeah, and you mentioned what was going on with the Armory Project. I hear it's been a great project. You're almost fully sold.
We are. There's a couple of units left. It was very well received. We had, I want to say 10 of the 20 units sold before it was even finished being framed on the inside. Literally describing to people where walls were going to be, and they were signing purchase and sale agreements. I think a lot of that has to do with just the uniqueness of the projects that we do. I mean, I don't think you'd experience that on necessarily a new construction project.
Right.
But people love to see, a historic building reborn. And we've taken a lot of pride in the Armory, and as we will with the registry building and some of the other projects we have going, that we don't turn them into new, quote-unquote, looking buildings. we really take what's there and bring it back to life, adding a couple of new flares or some functionality to it. And I think people love that about the Armory.
So when was the Armory built?
1906.
1906, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not much different from when the registry was built.
Correct, 1904
Right.
on the registry.
Right.
So yeah, working with same era on both buildings, but very different buildings. You know, the Armory, very much a fortified structure in the front, the rear, fortified and being, you know, a brick construction on the base, but then going to a conventional wood roof over what was the old gymnasium or marching hall originally. Registry, on the other hand, it's a fortress. It's, you know, 16, 18-inch walls, cement floors, cement roofs, slate. I mean, built as something that would never you know, lose the records or whatnot by any chance of fire or anything.
Yeah. So from what I hear, you're doing a great job with it. At the Registry of Deeds, we have a display that talks about where the land records have been over time. It started basically in the Common House when the colonists came off the ship, the Mayflower.
Right.
It then went up what became Leiden Street. Governor William Bradford, the second colonial governor, had control of it. Then there was a meeting house at the top of the hill. Then there was a meeting house down in Town Square. Then they bought a ship captain's house, which is the location now of a museum over there, knocked down, rebuilt as a county and town hall at one point. And then they built the 1820 courthouse when records got too big for the facility. And then in 1904, as you mentioned, they moved the probate and Registry of Deeds across the street, and thousands of people have gone through that building and conducted real estate.
Well, it's funny because everyone we've taken through the building, for one reason or another, showing them the units or, you know, the potential units, just about every one of them said, "Oh, I can remember being in here."
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's funny to see their expression as they walk through. You know, the building right now has been completely, you know, gutted down. We actually we went through a fairly lengthy process of removing anything of that we felt had historical value, taking off all the wood paneling, the benches, any tables, any of the seating benches that were still left, some of the ornate pieces in the building, doors, some of the marble, those types of things. Stored that so it could be reused. So it was interesting to see them walk in and see it somewhat stripped down. An interesting point on that is, I don't know if you recall, but the front had the stained glass.
Yes.
And it had the seal of what I believe was the county or the town or both.
The colony
okay,
seal.
right.
Yeah.
So,
but then the town adopted it as a seal.
So we talked to the town and talked to them about that, and they wanted to actually take it over to what will be the new town hall.
Sure.
So it's going to be restored and displayed in there, so that there's never a chance of, you know, say the condo association taking it out or something like that. We felt like that was a great use.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And they've actually taken as well. I'm sure you remember this, but some of the doorknobs had the seal on them, and were taken off when you guys moved, and they stored the doorknobs. Bill Cohane of the Preservation Committee came back to me and said, "Is there any chance we can get some of the doors?" To meet up with those doorknobs, and we did. So so that worked out really well.
Yeah. So most of the doorknobs, I think, are still within the control of the county.
Right.
We actually have a couple of those at our building.
Oh, okay.
There was an old phone booth over at the registry.
Oh yeah,
that we,
yeah.
That
you have it in the lobby.
that we took over with us.
Yeah.
Have one of those brass colonial seal doorknobs on that. My office was actually, as you come in the front steps, on the left-hand side.
Okay.
However, when you walk to the other side of the building and you look out those windows, I'm sure they're different now, but you look out on Bug Light, you look out on Saquist, you look out on Plymouth Harbor and the beach out there. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, there's surprisingly, you know, the first floor
Island,
is beautiful views, and then when you get up to the second floor, they're just magnificent.
Right.
And then we will actually have a roof deck on
that.
the top floor with the elevator going up to it and everything. That it's just sweeping views to P-Town. It's unbelievable.
It's a great use. When we were there near the end, because we were still maintaining hard books, it was so crammed And as technology changes, it didn't really work for us because the cabling was like spaghetti all over the place.
Right.
And unfortunately, I know the marble flooring, the wrought iron railings, when it was first built, it was like the first gas-lit facility in the area. It's a beautiful structure.
It is.
And I'm glad you're doing a lot of good things with it.
Yeah, the building will be completely renovated. All of the items you just mentioned will be completely restored. And then, obviously all, the new units built out and new amenities throughout them. So all the functionality and conveniences of modern living, but within that shell of such historic nature.
And you'll have an elevator, I assume?
We will. Elevator, covered parking outside, really nice, big, open, spacious units with some with water views, some with garden views, all of them having balconies or first floor patios. It will be the premier place to live in Plymouth, and reasonable prices too. It's not, like these are all, $1 million or whatnot. I mean, they're well within the reach of, most people either retiring or downsizing, or a couple starting out, or, whatever. There's some reasonable options in there, but just magnificent spot. Yeah,
one of the things I don't regret, I have to say, is for us during the refinancing boom of 2003, one of the last couple of years we were there, parking in the winter was crazy. It wasn't built to handle that amount of parking in that area, but for what you're doing with it, it'll be a great fit.
Yeah, it's perfect, and we actually expanded that back lot. If you've been by there recently, you'll see the new granite block wall going down the side that expanded the opening for emergency vehicle accessibility.
I haven't seen it. I'll take a walk.
And then expanded the back lot so that there's private parking for every person who's in the building, along with guest parking. So it really should be, I'd like to say a zero impact on the neighborhood, but it's actually probably less than zero impact, because we're actually pulling cars off that would have historically parked on the street will now all be off street. So it'll be nice.
So now what stage are you at?
The site work on the outside is just about completed. The inside has been demoed, and we should be starting full-scale construction within the next 2 weeks.
Great. So when do you expect to be, you're obviously listing units for sale now.
We have, and I think we have 5 units sold right now of the 19.
Wow.
I would say that we would be delivering units between August and October, depending on when someone buys and choices and those types of things.
Really?
Yeah, wow. It should go relatively quickly. We had targeted July to August, but then the winter of 2015
crazy
came,
winter.
and that put an end to that.
So what is the size differential of the units, square footage?
They range from a small of about 750, which is, it's a small unit, but perfect for, a single person, that type of thing, up to, I want to say the biggest we have laid out right now is about 1,500 square feet. But we also don't mind working with individual buyers to either combine a couple of units or relay out a couple of units. We've had a number of people do that, and it works well. So the sky's the limit, so to speak. Someone could come in there and want to combine 2 or 3 units and make a much larger home.
And what is on your top floor? Going to be on your top floor?
The top floor will be 7 units.
Okay.
The middle floor, or the main floor, is 7 units, and then the lower floor that is level with the back parking area would be, I believe, it's 6 units on that floor.
That's great. And a roof deck, you said?
Roof deck on the top that the elevator will go up to. It'll be like a 30 by 40 roughly roof deck, so plenty of room to see out. And then each of the units would have balconies as well. So you'll have your own private balcony, or you can go up to the roof deck.
Great. So that's a good thing. It's a good thing for both the town doing the old 1820 courthouse and the job they're doing with it. I have been talking with Bill Cohane along the way, and I know they've been preserving things and trying to get things back in, like you mentioned. And and I know that when the courthouse left, and we left first actually, took a lot of foot traffic away from downtown, so that'll certainly be a great thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing. I mean, even before the town hall moves, once the registry and the armory are completely sold out, which we anticipate by the end of 2015. It very far out would be the first quarter of 2016.
Sure.
You're looking at approximately 100 to 125 permanent people mulling around the downtown area, eating, drinking, dry cleaners on a regular basis, plus friends and family.
And I saw you titled the location. What's it called?
Actually, how we purchased it?
No, what were you calling the facility?
It's just the registry. The
yeah,
registry.
That caught my attention.
Yeah. We the Armory was the residences at the Armory.
Sure.
We thought of doing the residences at the registry,
That's
but the registry just seemed to be more appropriate. It's a little bit more of a sophisticated project, and the name and the fonts and whatnot that we used in all the paperwork really, I think, made it really stand out. It's just going to be a very classy establishment.
And I know you gave a couple images that Dave Antoine was going to show during the show.
Right.
And they'll show what again?
I think there's a few shots, not necessarily what order they'll go in, but I think there's some shots of the completed Armory, both the front shot at dusk, and then there's some completed common area and unit shots of the Armory, which I think really show how it came back to life. Then I think there's some existing shots of the registry on there that will depict how it stands in its semi-construction state, and then also a rendering showing it how it will look when it's wrapped up.
And those may have overlapped with our conversation as we...
Yeah, and there's also some floor plans, I think, now that I think about it, on that flash drive as well, that just give you an idea of how some of the units might lay out.
Great. Now, there's another project in the works within Plymouth County?
There is. There's actually a couple of other ones. Out of Plymouth, there's the old Animal Rescue League building up on Route 53 in Pembroke. This was a facility, a gorgeous facility that the Animal Rescue League built many years ago on some donated land. Unfortunately, it turned out that the size and scale of the facility, the operational costs were just too large for its location. They ended up selling it. We acquired it from the person who had bought it, let's say 3 or 4 years after they had sold it, and now we're in the process of renovating it to 18 condominiums in that area.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so that's nice.
Well, I'm fascinated by these projects. Obviously, I have a personal interest in at least one, and practice law in the second one at one point. But so can you share your contact information, whether it be your who's marketing it for you or something?
Sure.
Like that?
Everything is marketed through Lynn Moray at Caldwell Banker.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I do not have her email address off the top of my head, but Caldwell Banker in the Plymouth office, Lynn Moray, has handled all of our projects in Plymouth and outside of Plymouth.
Great. Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's a great story.
Thanks.
Here in the East Room, in the southeast corner, is a great portrait of President Theodore Roosevelt. It was painted in 1903 by John Singer Sargent here at the White House. The story goes that Teddy Roosevelt was so busy all the time that he didn't have time to pose for his portrait, and he came bounding down the staircase one day, and the artist was working, and the artist said, "Mr. President, when will you let me paint your portrait?" And he said, "Paint me right now." And he put his hand up on the newel post and was painted on the staircase. It's believed to be a true story, except that that newel post doesn't show in any photograph of any White House staircase, and so it may have been an artistic license to paint it the way the artist did. Theodore Roosevelt was very active with the renovation of the White House in 1902, and this room had no carpets at that time and was a great favorite of the Roosevelt children. They were known to roller skate on the beautiful parquet floor in the room. Theodore Roosevelt also used the room for judo demonstrations and boxing matches and a variety of things. And today it's used for bill signings and press conferences and swearing-in ceremonies and anything else that needs to happen.
Welcome back to the Residence Report. In this show, we try to do something a little lighter in nature. But first, I want to thank Rick Vayo. He did a great job talking about some projects that they're working on right now. And certainly a couple of those are close to my heart. The former Registry of Deeds building was a place that I worked in for many years, and it's great to see that he's doing such a wonderful job with it. In this segment, we try to talk about a couple of our notable land records in the month of April, the couple of holidays, one which is past Easter Sunday, Patriots Day Marathon Monday coming up, and certainly anybody that followed it, it was the opening day of the Boston Red Sox at home. The first regular season game was an away game on April 6th. April 13th was the home opener. So I'd like to talk about a couple images I'm going to bring up for notable land records. One I talked about last month during the notable land records, and I talked about people of Irish descent. You'll see an image of Eva Buckley, a former state senator from Brockton that we were developing at the time. She was on the Senate Ways and Means Committee, a vice chair at one point, the first woman elected to the Brockton City Council, and a great story in her life. She really had a great political career, made a lot of friends, and is certainly remembered for all the work she did. And anyone that goes to Massasoit Community College will see the Buckley Performing Arts Center named after her. Next image is a woman, Deborah Sampson. Deborah Sampson fought in the Revolutionary War. In order to enter the Army, she dressed up as a man, and she fought in a number of battles during the Revolutionary War, and she is very well recognized for her work as a soldier. Certainly a different time when women weren't in the services, but she was born in Plimpton, and the town of Plimpton has recognized all of her great accomplishments, and her picture is on the town of Plimpton flag. So Deborah Sampson is also the official heroine of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and there's a monument for her in her honor on the town green, right near the Plimpton Town Hall, right across the street from that building on Route 58 in Plimpton. And the next one I'm going to talk about is an image of a very famous Red Sox player. Certainly everyone remembers Ted Williams that knows any Red Sox baseball history. Ted Williams ran a baseball camp in Lakeville. He was a great hunter and outdoorsman, and he fished a lot of the ponds in Lakeville, including the pond behind the Lakeville Council on Aging. Ted Williams is in the Cooperstown. He's in Baseball's Hall of Fame. We have a number of people that were great baseball players. We have them all on display at the Registry of Deeds in the lobby. Mickey Cochran was from the Detroit Tigers. King Kelly played for the Boston Beaneaters. Billy McGonigal invented the catcher's mitt, lived in Brockton, managed the Brooklyn Bridegrooms to National American League and National League championships, and so many other people that have been involved in baseball that we put them on display because so many people around here love when the Red Sox open up their home opener and finally the weather starts to get better. I want to thank PAC TV for letting me run this show on this program. First of all, Lorna Green Baker and Christine Riches from my office helped me put the show together. Dave Antoine of PAC TV, Alyssa DeBow and Dustin Fleming for the work they did in helping me set up this show. I think it's important that we share the information of what's happening in the real estate market to people around Plymouth County. For most people, their home is their most valuable asset, and we like to tell the stories of what's going on, how you can take advantage of the programs we run, and certainly the trends in the marketplace, and a little bit about what's going on with some specialty properties as we did today with Rick. So thank you again for watching this show. I'll see you next month.